Chris looked like an ordinary magician. The audience was not impressed with him because his repertoire was so boring. But if you are in the profession, you will find that his magic tricks are completely incapable. Chris asked an audience below that where he came from. The audience had not yet answered. He already said the answer. Chris again points at a woman and says her necklace will fall in 3 seconds. It is true that he does magic based not on tricks, but on his own abilities. His ability is to foresee the future. He can foresee everything that will happen to him in the next 2 minutes. When he runs out of money, he will go to the casino. He finds a slot machine and pushes a button to win. Then he went to a betting table again. In a matter of minutes, he can double his chips. Of course, he never dared to make a big bet because he knew that doing so would cause great trouble for himself. He knows he can't show off his abilities too much. However, one day, while he was changing money, he saw a man who looked suspicious. Chris immediately learned this man came here to steal money. Without thinking much, he immediately rushed to push the robber down. So he prevented an impending robbery. Chris is mistakenly robbery by the guard and wants to arrest him. Chris hastily turned and disappeared in the chaos of the crowd. So all the casino guards were called in to arrest Chris. This is the time when Chris shows his best ability. He hid behind 2 guests in a position to avoid a guard, leaning down to tie the shoelaces to hide the second guard. Hiding behind a slot machine was to evade a third. He looked at his watch and followed another man, so he escaped the fourth. Turned the other direction to escape the fifth. Then he easily escaped from the sight of the sixth and the seventh mans. The supervisor who watched Chris walk around like that without any notice by guards made him immediately furious. Chris goes to the toilet and takes off her jacket. He multiplied when a man was washing his face, then he took out his hat. He lowered his head as he watched the vending machine to escape the running guards. He came out of the casino and sat in a strange car while a guard was absent. It is too skillful. After that, Chris returned home. He discovered this trouble was just the beginning. He foresaw that within 2 minutes, this room will appear an FBI agent. She would say that a terrorist organization stole a nuclear bomb in preparation to attack Las Vegas. The FBI needs his ability. It turned out that Chris had revealed his talent as a child, so it was saved on the file of the FBI. But Chris doesn't want to help the FBI with this. Seeing a 2-minute future doesn't help in such an important case. However, the agent said that the FBI had surrounded this area. If he does not follow her, then she must use force. Seeing these things, he immediately runs. Chris also has a secret. He can predict he will have a woman in his life. She will show up someday in a coffee shop. He hasn't met her yet, but he falls in love with her. So, during this special time, he had to go find her. Finally, Liz appeared. His eyes were attracted to her. He wanted to get to know her, but he knew it was difficult to make acquaintance of such a beautiful girl like her. Fortunately, Chris can foresee the future. He began to predict the outcome as himself used different ways to get to know her. At first, he wanted to do it directly, but Liz immediately refused. The second way was to remind her that the coffee shop had a problem. Liz said that he should go ask the staff. This is not. The third one is to borrow a lighter. Still can't use it. While he still didn't know how, the opportunity had come. A man came in and sat in front of Liz. It turns out that he is Liz's ex-boyfriend. This guy started to harass her, even though she didn't want to. Chris knows that the opportunity to be a hero is here. Chris came to stop her ex-boyfriend action. He got mad and started hitting Chris, but he failed to hit him. One side, Chris avoided the man's blow. The other, he introduced himself to Liz. Liz felt he was too aggressive, so she went away. Luckily, this is just the future he sees. Let's do it again. This time he deliberately let himself be knocked down by Liz's ex-boyfriend. This way was extremely successful. Liz angrily chased away her old boyfriend. She helped him up, cleaned up his wound. Everything are extremely convenient. Chris says his car is broken. He wants to go to a place, but it can't now. Coincidentally, that's where Liz wanted to go, so she kindly gave Chris a ride. On the way, Chris thanks to his ability to foresee future talking to Liz, making her extremely interesting. After arriving at the place of the Indian tribe, Chris begins to show the kids his magic. Liz sees Chris's warmth. Since then, she increasingly believed in him. While driving back, Liz buried her face to Chris's shoulder for falling asleep. The two went to a motel that has only one bed. Chris immediately said that he was going to sleep in the car. This makes Liz extremely satisfied. She began to miss him. The next morning, as Liz finished bathing, she met Chris in the room. Chris looked at Liz fascinated. Next, he complimented Liz with romantic words and flirted with her with his magic tricks. The two people looked at each other lovingly. However, the FBI found Chris. Terrorists also came to him. Chris foresaw the upcoming accident. He talked about his abilities to Liz and made up his escape plan with her. Chris let Liz run first, and he will attract the attention of those guys. Then he jumped off the cliff. The sniper aimed at him. Chris stopped and dodged the bullet's direction. A car falling off a cliff was also dodged by him. By the time he got down to the foot of the mountain, the FBI was already waiting there. At this time, a lot of logs fell from the cliff, wanting to crush this agent. Chris runs to support her and is crushed by the police car. By the time he was in a coma, the FBI took the opportunity to take him away. On the other hand, the terrorists found Liz and took her away. Chris wakes up in the FBI interrogation room. His eyes were forced open by the tool, unable to close them. The agent turned on the television showing the news of the nuclear bomb theft. Chris foresees the future, so he sees the location of that bomb. Chris stared into the future. He saw a further moment of the future. He sees Liz tied to a wheelchair with a bomb in a parking lot that could fire at any moment. Chris said nothing to the agent and was put in a cell. He took the chance to knock down the guards and successfully escaped thanks to his ability. He ran to the place where Liz is in the next 2 hours. The agent also went there and offered to help him save Liz. Eventually, Chris agreed to cooperate with the FBI. He saw the license plate of the car that Liz was locked in. Thanks to that, he identified the place of the terrorists. Chris used his ability to help the FBI fight terrorist bugs. This time, FBI defeated the terrorists without any damage. They entered a factory but did not see any terrorists. He used his superpowers to search every corner to find them. He found one man who were holding Liz. Chris directly charged towards him. He ran out of terrorists' ammunition, then the terrorist was shot by the FBI. Chris successfully saves Liz, but the crisis persists. The bomb's location has been changed. Chris tracks the digital map to find the place of the bomb, but he couldn't see it. Then he had a bad premonition, and the bomb immediately exploded. Time goes back to one day before. Right now he is lying with Liz in bed. It turned out that he could see the distant future of his spouse. And all that just happened is the future he foresaw. Finally, he waited to see the FBI with a sad face. He told the agent that the future does not end well. He still decided to try to help the FBI no matter what. It can be seen that no matter how capable a person is and how great of control a person is, sometimes it depends on fate.